Hello and welcome. You are listening to a new podcast called Fruitless, hosted by me, Josiah Sutton. This is episode 0, a Narcissistic Launch, where I kind of introduce myself. Well, welcome everyone to this brief introductory episode. I'm going to try to keep it short. I don't like being the only person behind a microphone, and this show is hopefully going to mostly be conversations with other people. However, I thought I should start on a self-indulgent note and introduce myself a bit. While most of you listening are probably former listeners to my other podcasts and are fairly familiar with me, I don't want to assume that's the case for everybody. So here's a brief bit about me. I began podcasting July of 2020 with a show called Very Legal, Very Cool, or VLVC for short. I co-hosted it with a childhood friend of mine named Jared. And it started out about conspiracy theories, fringe movements, and weird things on the internet. But as time went on, it became more and more guest-focused. Jared went on a hiatus due to work in March of 2021 and ended up on sort of a permanent hiatus. During the months between Jared leaving and then the show going on its own kind of permanent hiatus in June of that year, the focus of VLVC became these kind of personal interviews with people, usually about religion, but also leftist politics, philosophy, art, history, what have you. In a way, the show became two shows at once. One about fringe movements and obscure online stuff, and one about people, guests, and their views on life. This show is going to be the continuation of the latter part there. In the future, I might revive the interest in, fringe movements and conspiracies with maybe VLVC or a different podcast. But right now, I want to focus primarily on having those thoughtful but kind of casual interviews, if that's possible. In another sense, though, this podcast is going to be kind of a sandbox for me. It's going to follow topics that I want to explore, and I'm going to bring on guests that want to have whatever those conversations are. Who knows where this show's going to end up? I'm lining up interviews right now, and we'll see where they take us. In case you didn't arrive here from VLVC and don't know who I am, I'll give a brief bio about myself and fill you in. It's not that interesting. I'm located in Des Moines, Iowa. I am 24 years old. I was raised Reformed Protestant, and I was homeschooled within the local evangelical community kind of here. I moved out at 18 to work shitty service jobs before returning to community college to get my associate's degree. I got married at 20 years old. The marriage ended in a divorce after a year and a half, and eventually I left the Christian faith. Slowly, over time, I returned to Christianity with new eyes, and I am now a Episcopalian. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in history and philosophy last May, and now I'm in an interregnum period where I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to go to grad school or, whatever. Until then, I'm trying to trick people into paying me to write and maybe trying to get paid to record podcasts, if it's all possible. Who knows what the future will hold. So as for this show, the focus here is going to be one-on-one interviews. My goal with these interviews is to look at people in kind of a holistic sense. Some episodes will focus more on the guest's interests or expertise, while others will focus more on personal anecdotes or their life story. The ideal episodes will be a little bit of both. My general philosophy here is that the two will always interact. People's journeys with philosophy, religion, art, or politics are just as much related to their personal experiences as they are, intellectual rigor. Of course, as time goes on, I might explore other formats, more research and scripted content maybe, or something else entirely that I haven't thought of yet. Again, this thing is a sandbox. The name Fruitless comes from about 6 years ago when Jared and I first started talking about making a podcast. Before we leaned into conspiracy theories and trollish irony, poisoned senses of humor, the name was going to be Fruitless, kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing about us having fruitless dialogues. I've always liked that name, and so I wanted to bring it back for this project. As for the nitty-gritty details, I'll be honest here, I'm not going to have a strict release schedule. The goal with this show is going to be 2 episodes a month minimum. That's what I can promise. I may also repost old VLVC interviews here if they fit the tone of the show that I'm kind of going for, probably with some extra editing. We'll see. I promise I won't use repost as a way to get out of making new content. But yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you for listening to this brief little trailer for the show, and I am excited to start releasing interviews soon. Have a wonderful day.